beat Pittsburgh, gets to beat a division rival. So they're not going to be easy, not in this division. So proud of him for that. Incredible job adjusting to that football. It was a good read by Shedeur. And then to
Kevin Stefanski has finally done it. He's officially crowned Shedeur Sanders as the Cleveland Browns franchise quarterback. It's about time, but don't get it twisted. This wasn't some smooth, easy call. This move came after weeks of drama, locker room whispers, and more behind-the-scenes tension than anyone outside Berea could imagine. What looked like a simple next man up decision turned into a full-on power shift inside the Browns organization. For months, Stefanski held back, dodging questions and avoiding commitment, like it was his job. He didn't want to publicly anoint Shedeur as the guy. Maybe it was about control, maybe it was pressure from upstairs, or maybe he just didn't think the rookie had earned it yet. But then came the spark, Shedeur's meteoric rise this season. His performances were too electric, too commanding, too undeniable to ignore. The fan base rallied, the locker room started buzzing, and even the front office felt the tide turning. The whispers became chants. "Start Shedeur!" And after weeks of scrutiny and mounting pressure, Stefanski finally broke his silence. He declared Shedeur Sanders the face of the Cleveland Browns, the new leader of this franchise. In his announcement, Stefanski didn't sugarcoat anything. He admitted the Browns' offense wasn't built for a quarterback like Shedeur, not yet. The system, the play calling, the rhythm, it was all designed around another kind of player. But Stefanski made one thing crystal clear. He was ready to adapt. He knew what he had on his hands was rare, a young quarterback with composure, instincts, and ice in his veins. Then came the part that really turned heads. Stefanski pointed to one specific play, a throw Shedeur made to tight end Harold Fannin that cut through double coverage like it was nothing. He said that moment defined Shedeur's game. Cool under fire, precise under pressure, and fearless in execution. Stefanski called it a glimpse into what makes Shedeur different, not just talented, but transformative. He didn't just call Shedeur a quarterback. He called him a game changer, a playmaker who could dictate tempo, rewrite momentum, and flip the energy of an entire game in seconds. That's not just praise, that's a coach admitting he's seen something special. So yeah, this wasn't just a routine announcement. This was Kevin Stefanski handing the keys to the kingdom over to Shedeur Sanders and signaling that the entire Browns offense is about to evolve around him. This was the moment Stefanski stopped resisting and started believing. At the start of the season, things were very different. Kevin Stefanski wasn't anywhere near as confident in Shedeur Sanders as he is now, not even close. Back then, he made it crystal clear that he had no plans to hand over the Browns' offense to a rookie, especially one who hadn't taken a single real NFL snap. Stefanski had his own blueprint, his own system, and in that picture, Shedeur just didn't fit. Stefanski wanted structure, clean plays, predictable timing, textbook football. But Shedeur? He was chaos with precision, unpredictable, fearless, and way too explosive for Stefanski's comfort. Early on, it was obvious the two didn't see eye to eye. Stefanski wanted control, Shedeur brought energy. It was oil and water until something wild started happening. As the weeks went by, Shedeur began lighting up the field. Game after game, his highlights started stealing the spotlight, bullet passes, clutch runs, and laser-sharp reads that no one saw coming. Fans were going crazy, analysts were stunned, and suddenly everyone was talking about the same thing. This kid is different.
Anything to the offense, give him an opportunity to go in there and play.
Yeah, obviously my focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus.
Shedeur wasn't just the future, he was right now. His arm strength, composure, and command over the game were on full display. He was making seasoned defenders look foolish, turning busted plays into magic, and showing that he wasn't waiting for next year, he was taking over this year. And slowly but surely, even Stefanski couldn't ignore it anymore. The narrative flipped. The coach who once doubted him started realizing he might have underestimated something special. Then came the heat from above, straight from the top. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam started paying close attention. He saw what everyone else was seeing. Shedeur wasn't just performing, he was changing the energy of the entire team. Haslam started asking questions, pressing Stefanski, and finally making his position clear. That kid needs to start now. Stefanski tried to push back. insisting it was too soon, but Haslam wasn't hearing it. The pressure kept building, meeting after meeting, until Stefanski's options ran out. It wasn't just about the offense anymore, it was about his job, his reputation, and his control of the locker room. Eventually, Stefanski caved. He gave Shedeur the starting role not as a favor, but as a last-ditch move to keep his grip on the team. Haslam congratulated him publicly, but everyone behind closed doors knew the truth. This wasn't just a coaching adjustment, this was a power shift. Behind closed doors, things were way messier than anyone knew. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam had caught on. He realized Kevin Stefanski wasn't just being cautious, he was actively holding Shedeur Sanders back. This wasn't about playbooks or game plans anymore, it had turned personal. Stefanski's hesitation wasn't strategy, it was ego. He didn't want a rookie outshining him or taking control of the team's identity, and that quiet resistance created major tension inside the building. Haslam saw it all. He knew the team's momentum was shifting towards Shedeur and that Stefanski was clinging to old power. So, when Haslam decided to personally fly out and visit Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur's father, to congratulate him on his son's breakout success, everyone inside the Browns organization got the message loud and clear. That handshake between Haslam and Dion wasn't just a courtesy, it was a statement. Haslam was saying, "I picked the right man to lead this team, and it's not Stefanski." But that visit lit a fire under the rumor mill. Whispers started spreading like wildfire around the facility. Word was that Haslam wasn't just celebrating Shedeur, he was quietly questioning whether Stefanski even had a future in Cleveland. The walls were closing in, and everyone could feel it. Inside the locker room, players began noticing Stefanski's hesitation, and it didn't sit right. The energy was off. The team rallied around Shedeur, the guy bringing results, while Stefanski's support wavered. Fans saw it too. They started questioning why the head coach didn't seem fully behind the man everyone else believed in. Reports even started leaking that Stefanski's reluctance to embrace Shedeur was becoming the main reason his job was hanging by a thread. Haslam had found the quarterback who could finally carry the Browns forward, but his head coach was dragging his feet, stuck in the past. It wasn't about X's and O's anymore, it was about control. At that point, Stefanski was standing at a crossroads, either ride with Shedeur or risk losing everything. And every game Shedeur played made the choice clearer. Each touchdown, each clutch drive, each sideline celebration showed everyone who the real leader of the Browns was. But here's the twist. While Shedeur was out there saving Stefanski's reputation one play at a time, there was someone else working behind the curtain, quietly shaping how this power struggle would play out next. Andrew Berry, the Browns' general manager, had been quietly playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. From day one, Berry saw what Kevin Stefanski couldn't. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just another young prospect, he was the future. While Stefanski hesitated, Berry was already working the phones, restructuring the roster, and building an offense tailor-made for Shedeur's rise. Berry's every move screamed confidence in his young quarterback. He beefed up the offensive line to protect him, stacked the receiver room with playmakers who could match his energy, and made sure the locker room vibe was shifting toward a new era. It wasn't loud or flashy, it was strategic. Berry was building a safety net of talent around Shedeur, so that when the time came, no one could say the kid wasn't ready. And here's where it got spicy, those quiet moves from the front office. They started putting major pressure on Stefanski. Every trade, every roster tweak, every piece added to the offense was another sign that the organization was done waiting. Stefanski could feel it, the walls closing in, the balance of power tilting away from him and toward the quarterback he'd tried to hold back. Week after week, as Shedeur's highlights started flooding, social media and sports talk shows couldn't stop mentioning his name. It became impossible to deny what was happening. The Browns weren't just backing Shedeur, they were building around him. And Stefanski? He was losing control of his own team, one touchdown at a time. Behind the scenes, the whispers about his job security turned into open conversations. Haslam, ever the businessman, started making quiet inquiries, exploring who might replace Stefanski if things didn't flip soon. He saw the momentum shift, the excitement from the fans, and the future forming right before his eyes, and he wasn't about to let one stubborn coach stall the franchise's progress. By this point, it was clear, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just winning games, he was changing Cleveland's entire identity. The locker room was behind him, the front office was building for him, and the fans were chanting his name. Stefanski had gone from leading the Browns to fighting for his position inside them. And Haslam? He'd seen enough. He knew Stefanski had tried to hold Shedeur back, and that kind of sabotage doesn't go unnoticed. The message from the top was loud and clear: get with the program or get out. By the time the Browns hit mid-season, the tension inside the building was so thick you could feel it. Kevin Stefanski was walking on eggshells, trying to balance his authority while pretending everything was fine, but everyone knew it wasn't.
For our guys, and I think he has constantly and consistently gotten better in each one of these games, and how he's approached this game. He's been working very hard. So
the power had shifted. The players were riding with Shedeur Sanders, the fans were chanting his name every Sunday, and the front office was fully invested in turning the team into his kingdom. Every game Shedeur played made the divide clearer. Stefanski could no longer deny that the kid was the real deal. His ability to read defenses, improvise under pressure, and turn busted plays into touchdowns had everyone watching in disbelief. Shedeur didn't just lead the team, he transformed it. The energy on the field, the swagger in the locker room, even the way Cleveland media talked about the Browns. Everything revolved around him now. But that kind of spotlight exposes everything, including tension at the top. Sources inside the organization claim that certain players started to lose faith in Stefanski's leadership altogether. They saw how reluctant he'd been to trust Shedeur early on, and that doubt lingered. Some insiders even said that Stefanski and Shedeur had frosty exchanges during practice, quiet disagreements about play calling and in-game tempo. Shedeur wanted freedom to move, adjust, and attack. Stefanski wanted control. It was a constant tug-of-war between instinct and structure. Meanwhile, Andrew Berry continued to back Shedeur in every internal meeting. Reports suggest Berry told ownership flat out, "If we want to win now, we ride with him." That statement set off alarm bells for Stefanski. He knew what it meant. His job was officially tied to Shedeur's success. If the kid thrived, Stefanski would survive. If not, he'd be gone before the off-season even started. And as if the internal politics weren't enough, the public started weighing in too. Fans flooded social media calling Shedeur the franchise and demanding Stefanski let him run the offense his way. Local reporters picked up on the story, framing it as a battle between old-school coaching and new-school talent. Headlines read, "Is Stefanski holding Shedeur back?" And that question only added fuel to an already volatile situation. By December, one thing was clear: Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a rising star, he was the heartbeat of Cleveland football. His name carried weight in the locker room, in the front office, and even in ownership meetings. Everyone knew that the Browns' future depended on him, and the only thing standing in the way was the same coach who once refused to believe in him. The Browns had found their franchise quarterback. The only question now was whether Kevin Stefanski would still be around to coach him when the next season began. At the end of the day, Kevin Stefanski thought he could keep the upper hand, but he was wrong. The truth is, the power had already shifted, and it belonged to Shedeur Sanders. Stefanski might have worn the headset, but Shedeur was the one calling the shots on and off the field. Every touchdown, every game-winning drive, every spark of energy that lit up the stadium only made one thing clearer. This was Shedeur's team now. Now that Shedeur's officially the Browns' franchise quarterback, his success isn't just tied to wins, it's tied directly to Stefanski's career. If Shedeur keeps dominating, Stefanski gets to keep that office. But if Shedeur stumbles, that headset's gone, and his name will be off the door before the ink dries. The pressure has never been higher, and everyone inside the building knows it. Because this wasn't just about football anymore, it was about power, about control, ego, and who really runs the Cleveland Browns. Stefanski's attempts to slow Shedeur's rise backfired spectacularly. He had no choice but to swallow his pride, embrace the new reality, and own up to his mistakes. Word is, behind closed doors, Stefanski finally admitted he'd been wrong about Shedeur, that the kid's leadership, poise, and raw talent had changed everything. But the damage was done. The fans saw it, the players saw it, and ownership definitely saw it. The once unshakable head coach had been humbled by the very quarterback he tried to hold back. Now, the biggest question hanging over Cleveland is simple: can Stefanski fix what he broke? Can he rebuild trust, not just with Shedeur, but with a locker room that now sees him as the man who almost cost them their future? As the Browns march into a new era led by Shedeur Sanders, one thing's certain: the team's identity has been reborn. Shedeur isn't just the future, he's the franchise. Whether Stefanski survives or not doesn't even matter anymore. The fans have already chosen their leader, and his name is Shedeur Sanders. So here we are, a city revived, a coach cornered, and a young quarterback standing tall in the spotlight. Will Shedeur's rise save Stefanski's job, or will it mark the end of his reign in Cleveland? Time's ticking, and every snap counts. What do you think? Can Kevin Stefanski redeem himself and find common ground with Shedeur Sanders, or is it already too late? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, subscribe for more wild NFL drama, and share this video with someone who's following this saga just as closely. See you on the next one.